In today's video, we're going on a journey through the making of my latest short film, Flawsome. My aim is to guide you through our filmmaking process, including casting actors, arranging sets, and managing a tight budget while still being able to shoot on a Hollywood tier gear like the Alexa 35 and a motion control robot. If you are new here, let me introduce myself. My name is Nur Niaz, and on this channel I share my filmmaking experience to help you guys pave your own road. So before we delve into the details, I recommend you guys watch Flawsome first to truly appreciate the behind-the-scenes story I'm about to share here.
Hello? You've reached out to the best woman on earth. Your call is super important, so please call back when I give a damn.
You know, being a filmmaker often means creating commercial content for a living that can feel excessively promotional sometimes. So I found myself wanting to break from this relentless cycle of selling products, services, or ideas for brands. And I really wanted to create art that's driven by passion and not by a financial necessity. So my initial thought was to create a spec ad featuring a series of short sketches. And these sketches would portray the random and sometimes absurd thoughts that enter our minds. And you know how it goes. Some thoughts come at the right moment, others at inappropriate moments, but most of them just disappear quickly. So my idea was to capture these fleeting thoughts and put them on the screen. Not to sell anything, but to show the audience that it's completely normal human experience. So at first I wanted to test out the viability of my idea. So I met with a lot of producers, told them about this great idea that I had, and I showed them some images that I had in mind. But then I quickly noticed that this approach wasn't very convincing, because nobody was like, hell yeah, let's shoot it. So then I proceeded to writing my treatment. And this project initially, like I said, began as a spec commercial for Calvin Klein. And after a lot of thinking, I decided to pen down a treatment that was as honest and sincere and maybe vulnerable as possible. Even once it was written, it was tucked away in a drawer for a few months again. So it took a while for me to find the courage to present it to Kesha, a producer friend of mine from Kara Studios. So he expressed a genuine interest in my idea, said it was fresh and unique, which is always a good sign. In this industry, I've learned that for your work to stand a chance, it has to bring something new to the table, something that hasn't been done before, especially in the way you envision it. By the way, for those of you interested, my director treatment templates are available on my website, which you can find in the description down below. So following our initial meeting and a handshake agreement, we knew that the next important step was casting actors. And my primary objective was to maintain a diverse and inclusive and international cast while staying true to the film's treatment, and also considering the fact that we were to shoot in Kazakhstan locally. And our dear friend Aida from Kara Studios, who is incredibly talented, took on these casting responsibilities. And honestly, she did just such an amazing job that she managed to find these perfect actors, perfect match on her first attempt. Once we had our initial selection of actors, we had a casting call. This was also an opportunity for us to test out the blocking of the scenes. And I was also very conscious that my blocking had to be spot on because I wanted to minimize the number of cuts in the scenes. Ideally, each story needed to be told in 1 or 2 shots at most. And to give you a glimpse into that day, here are some videos from the casting call.
I'd rather not. I really need this job.
So as soon as we had our actors secured, the next logical step was to ensure they looked the part in line with our concept, because it was essentially a fashion film. And in my opinion, this task was a breeze for our stylist and set decorator Azhar, and she got straight to work. As always, Azhar would send me her notes with a separate document detailing directions for styling, locations, and set design. And I found myself approving almost all of them almost immediately because she was just that good. And I often say this, directing becomes simple when you've chosen the best crew and talent. Initially, it may seem like there's a heavy workload, but once you've convinced your key creative team that your ideas are worth investing time and energy into, then the process becomes gradually smoother as the project moves forward. So then, moving on to location scouting, our goal was to identify a minimal number of sites that, with the right dressing, could convincingly stand in for multiple locations. Because if you think about it, with 10 different locations, finding a separate location for each and every single one of them would be a logistical nightmare. It's things like commute times, setup and prep, as well as gear loading and offloading. They all consume your valuable time on set. So for projects like this, finding a single site that can double up as multiple locations is always a win. So our selection included an interior studio where we shot 5 scenes, including The Lettuce, Not Your Therapist, What I Love About You, Outdoorsy, and Call Back Later. Then there was a conveniently located parking lot where we shot the I Forgot Something. And the remaining scenes, the interview and Am I Done, were filmed in our production company's office. And even then we were still in need of a kitchen for the fridge scene, which is the first one in the short. So after failing to find an existing location that both fit the mood and was easily accessible with the motion controller robot, we opted to build our own small set within the rental company's warehouse. This was all made possible due to the fact that the rental house is owned by my friend Madiar, who is, as it happens, also is the director of photography for this project. Alright, let's pause here for a moment to express my gratitude to the sponsor of this video, Artlist. I've been utilizing Artlist for over a year now and has been really helpful in shaping my career and my filmmaking. What makes Artlist special for me is, firstly, it's not just a music library. It's all-in-one creative asset platform that includes sound effects, stock footage, templates, and plugins. Artlist boasts a giant library with over 25,000 songs, but it's not just the quantity, it's the quality and diversity that matters. The interface is really user-friendly and efficient, and I can easily sort through the extensive library using filters. And then when I stumble upon a song that almost matches my vision, I love to explore other submissions from that same artist, and often I discover an entire album that resonates with the language of my film or a YouTube video. In my opinion, this artist-centric approach is what makes me appreciate Artlist. It's also easy to organize your music and come back to it at any time, or even save it for later in a separate playlist. The flexibility of Artlist's pricing plans gives me a peace of mind. If you only need songs and sounds, their music and SFX plan will unlock the entire library for you. So it's all about choosing what suits your unique needs, because I can rest assured that the music I choose won't be taken down or impact my channel's performance. If you sign up using my link in the description, you'll get 2 months free at Artlist. All the music and sound design in our short film Flawsome was sourced from Artlist, which is the best proof of its role in shaping my creative voice. So as you can see, it's all about the network, because without my crew, without the people who are as into this as I am, we couldn't have possibly pulled this off. And when it came time to gear up, we had most of it nearly for free, only paying for the tech crew, like our runners, our PAs, and some of the support crew. Our DP Madiar was the one who suggested we shoot on his Ariel XA35, and if you don't know, this camera is considered to be the industry's top at the moment. He also brought along his own set of elite anamorphic primes. Hands down, these are my favorite anamorphics to work with, because the images they produce are very tasty, giving us that unique anamorphic distortion without any weird artifacts or weird lens flares. So when it came time to camera moves, we mostly wanted to stick to handheld or using the sticks. There were only 2 shots that deviated from this, one involving the Bolt motion controller, which you can check out in another video of mine on this channel, and the other shot had the Trinity 2 with the Steadicam operator Daniyar. Both gave us this really smooth, controlled, but at the same time dizzying effects with these scenes. Now for the rest of the gear, we just stuck to the usual stuff: lighting, tripods, wireless monitors, and all that good jazz. And Madiar, by the way, is super picky when it comes to monitors. He insists on using his own precisely calibrated ones on set all the time. According to him, a monitor is basically a DP's eyes, and if you're looking at a badly calibrated monitor, even if the colors are just slightly off, that's what your colorist will get, and then it's up to them to fix the colors, which is less than ideal. So having his small HD 13-inch monitors allowed us to retain the full control over how we wanted the image to look. That's the old school Bronco, which you won't find a lot of them here in Kazakhstan. It's a rare event, just as rare as finding a good director. Reflecting on the shoot, it was so relaxed that there's hardly anything to discuss here. Madiar had a unique approach to lighting the scenes. He allowed the natural light to do most of the heavy lifting and only used light fixtures to control the contrast, which I think I particularly admire this about him, because the scenes, they look very natural to my eye. In my opinion, a significant directing challenge was striking a perfect balance between a polished and a raw feel. Given the film's concept revolves around us all being flawed, every element from characters to camera movements and set design, they all needed to reflect this. And so for me, the tricky part was ensuring that while maintaining authenticity, it also didn't become too random. This was a line we were careful not to cross. But overall, the atmosphere during the 3-day shoot was incredibly laid back, because we always had time for jokes and some relaxed conversations. Everything is going pretty well, slightly ahead of the schedule, thanks to our friend Arman that's sitting back there. I'm pretty happy about the first half of the shoot, moving to our next location, which is going to be a parking lot. Our main actress is going to be walking down the corridor. She has forgotten to have children. The small and neat crew that we had ensured that the actors, most of whom were not even actors but rather models, they all felt at ease. So looking back, for me personally, those days on set, they stand out as a highlight of that year, for sure, because it was a transformative experience, the kind I feel every film set should have. In my personal opinion, this is how filmmaking should be. It's the kind of environment I will aim to recreate on all of my future sets as I progress through my career. Alright, so this is day 3 of our shoot for Flawsome, and we're back in this location because last night we couldn't manage to get the set built, and so right now we're trying to still make this scene happen. Hopefully in about 2 or 3 hours we're gonna be done, and this is our last scene for this film. And today I brought my family here, which are here to support and cheer for us.
Круто. Мне кажется, вообще такой приятный проект получился. И по атмосфере, и, надеюсь, по результату тоже.
Мы строили кухню 2 дня. Сняли все за 5 минут.
Все смотрели в плейбэк и улыбались, и это самое главное. Творчество — это всегда классно.
So, post-production of this film was also a very straightforward process. After a few editing sessions with my friend and long-term collaborator Kurogatsu, we were able to lock the edit. We let the initial edit marinate for a bit, and then returned for a few more sessions to tweak the little details, and then we perfected the final cut. Now, what was challenging is figuring out the score for the film, because initially I thought about hiring a music composer for a custom score, but during our editing process we used placeholder music from Artlist, but they seemed to fit so perfectly that we just decided to keep them there. So once that was done, I then handed over the project to my sound designer, Arsen. Most of the sound design was already there, but he just made these little tweaks and adjustments that when I got the project back from him, I was really amazed at how much more lifelike and intimate the scenes had become. And here's the thing, the right music and sound design can completely alter the mood and message of a scene, which is why I always emphasize their importance.
Or a perfect man.
So when it was time for color grading, as a time and cost-cutting measures, our DP Madiar and I decided to just do it ourselves. Remember how I was mentioning that Madiar is super picky when it comes to monitors being accurately calibrated on set? So that really saved us in the color grading. His philosophy is that if everything is done right with lighting and exposure and white balance within the camera on set, then color grading as such may not be even needed. And I think his statement holds true because that color grade was really impressive. He simply applied a Rec. 709 conversion LUT, slightly adjusted the contrast, and there we had it. Like, that color grade was our final. No messing around with white balance, power windows, tracking, or DaVinci Relight. Simple yet very effective. Look, we didn't even use any additional film grain because the Alexa 35 had inbuilt grain settings that can be baked into the image. And I don't know, I just think that this looks way more organic than anything you can add in post. So there you have it. My goal with this video is to inspire you guys to just say, fuck it, I'm gonna go make my own stuff. As you can see now, nobody wanted to make this film with me until I had it written and had something to build upon. It really is always on you to make the first move. Don't sit there waiting for the right opportunity to come knock on your door. Create these opportunities yourself. And again, if you have not watched Flawsome, go watch it and let me know what you think in the comments below.